All right. Welcome, you guys. We are so excited you are here. This is part three, I guess, of our Rise Through the Ranks. And tonight we are going to be talking about Senior Gold to Senior Ruby. So we're going to cover what both of those ranks look like as far as your back office really quickly. And then we're just going to kind of give you a lot of information, a lot of tips and tricks, because I really feel like at this level, when you reach senior gold, it really is a bigger mindset shift if you haven't had it already, right? And for a lot of people that come in here, especially as accidental business builders, I feel like this is really where the mindset really has to shift at senior gold to Ruby. So we're just going to kind of cover senior gold to senior Ruby all in one lump. Okay, but let's talk about what senior gold means really quick. I think we covered that last time, but it means 250 points in your back office, right? And then Ruby is your next rank. And what you have to do is double your organization. So you have to have 500 points to be a Ruby ambassador. We haven't talked about legs, outside points, and things like that. That does matter here. I don't have my chart in front of me. I cannot remember off the top of my head what the outside leg is for Ruby, but let's just keep it really super simple at this point, because the assumption is that you are adding as many level ones as you can add every single month, and you are helping them to go silver, senior silver, and beyond, right? So if you do that, if you add as many level ones every month as you possibly can, and you help them get to their levels, you're not going to have to worry, chances are, about those outside leg points. Okay. So I'm just going to throw that in there. We can talk about that later, but you have to have 500 points for Ruby. Now, in order to be senior Ruby, you have to have 750. So it's really a pretty short jump. Like, you've just doubled your organization to 500 points. But this time, you don't have to do that. You just have to half it, I guess, get to 750 points. And that is what Senior Ruby is. Now, at Senior Ruby, you get a Senior Ruby line. So you get a specific call line that you get to call in for customer service. You get, are they still doing sales managers at that point, RSMs at Senior Ruby? I think so. You get a regional sales manager. Okay. So you get a corporate person that you can work with, a regional sales manager, and you also become part of what we call the Plexus Leads program. So there is a plexusworldwide.com. And believe it or not, there are people that actually do not have ambassadors, and they go to plexusworldwide.com and join, and we call them the orphans. They go to the orphanage. And so what Plexus does is they assign these orphans to the senior rubies. So yay, you get surprise retail customers and you get surprise VIP customers. And so that's kind of a fun little perk. Now, it can really, like, sometimes you can get one or two, sometimes you can get three or four, or sometimes you can get none. It just really depends, but you do get to be a part of that program. So that's really fun. Okay, so let's hone into senior gold. All right, so okay, we're going to talk about Ruby level. So you're senior gold, you've hit Ruby level. 55% of your time at this point needs to be spent on your personal business still. Okay, 55% of your time at Ruby is on your personal business. 25% is on yourself, personal growth, and leadership. 20% of your time should be spent on your team. Okay. So, I'm getting some messages. Let me just make sure this isn't you guys like yelling at me about my internet or something. Okay. So, one of the things that you really have to have at Senior Gold is you really start needing to have a mindset shift for your business. If you have not treated your business like a business up until this point, this is the point it really starts to matter. I've seen people get to senior gold with adding level ones, really pretty much, and maybe a couple of silvers. I've seen it. Rockstar recruiters, people who can really recruit. But at this point, the rubber starts really hitting the road, and duplication, teaching people how to go silver, teaching them how to get to senior silver, this really matters. And so I have not done a really good job of like concising all of our information. So did somebody in particular have systems that they wanted to talk about? One of you, Jules. You want to talk about the importance of systems, because systems are super important at this point. Systems that you want to have in place that can guide your team, not handhold. Because I promise you, when you have a team of 300 people, you are not going to want or have the capacity to sit here and handhold and manage and answer every single question they have. Like, is there, are our products gluten-free? Like that's why we have the help center, you guys. The help center is amazing. Like that honestly should be one of our first places that we go to if we have questions. But the point is you want to be teaching your team to take ownership of their own questions, of their own business, and systems help us do that, right? And so they also make it really simple for our team to duplicate. And when there is duplication happening, guess what's happening to our team? Our team is growing. Everybody's growing, right? Everybody's getting higher points when there's that duplication. So those systems are really super important. Another thing that you want to be thinking about at this point is be what you want to attract, right? You have to show up. So if there is someone that you look up to and she's really consistent, or she's really, you're just like, I just love the way she's always talking about the business, or I just love the way that she always has these, I always walk away from her post feeling more motivated or inspired, right? Look at things that attract you to other people that you admire and try to start thinking about how you can develop that in your own self, in your content, and the way that you present yourself. Because what you put out there is what you're going to attract. If you get on social media and you are just a whiny, negative Nelly, guess who you're going to attract? Whiny, negative Nellies. If we get on social media and we talk about being sick and all the complaining, like that's what we're going to attract. And nobody wants, I don't want a team of people like that. And you don't either. That it creates so much drama. It creates so much strife, and it creates so much time wasting. And so you don't want to have to deal with those things. So put out there what you want to attract. And there's a law, and I meant to look that up. There's a law of that in the 21 Laws of Leadership. I don't know if it's the law of attraction or what, but anyway, there's a law about that. Read that book, 21 Laws of Leadership. And another thing that you want to think about is at this point, it's really super common for people to say, you know what, I don't have the confidence in myself to do this. I just can't. I don't have the capacity. I don't have what it takes. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter really how you feel about it does matter how you feel about yourself, but the point is you can be successful and you can lead people to success without you feeling like you're a diamond, right? Because you have to shift your attention off of you and onto them. At the end of the day, our products work. At the end of the day, this compensation plan works. This business works at the end of the day. Whether or not you are Emerald yet, that's beside the point. We know hundreds of people who are, right? It can be done. And so we have to have that confidence in the products and in this opportunity. So build your belief there. That should be like foundational, building your belief in those things, and build your belief in yourself as well. But don't feel like, oh, I don't have the confidence, so I can't lead other people. No, you do. And I don't know, Julie, I don't know if she's got a sick child, so I don't know if she's to a point to where she can unmute. And if you can't, that's okay. But she actually had a couple of things like this, was really passionate about this part. So Julie, if you can unmute, that would be great. If you can't, that's okay too. Okay, apparently she can't because she's not. So, but my point
Sorry, I'm entering grades and having a kid hanging on me at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah, just to speak to that for 2 seconds, it really makes all the difference, because so many times we get so caught up in our own self-doubt, and all that is focusing on self. Whereas if you're pouring into other people and you are trying your best to develop those leaders, sorry, it's wrestle time in my house, developing those leaders, then you have to grow as a person in order to develop leaders. But a lot of times we're like, oh, I just don't know if I can. I just don't know if I'm cut out for this. I just don't know. Whereas if you focus on them and you help them and you help them grow and you help them build, in order to do that, I have to become a better leader. And so if it takes that perspective to get you out of your comfort zone, then do it for them if you can't muster up enough confidence to do it for yourself.
Yeah, that's so good. Do it for them. I love that. Love that. Okay, another thing that is really super important at Senior Gold Ruby, Senior Ruby is your time management. Because guys, you don't have a hobby anymore. You have a business and you're a business owner, and we have to think like one, and we have to structure our day like one, right? And so whether that's carving out time in the morning or in the afternoon or the evening or whatever that looks like, but just carving out time to actually work. We like to say you can work this business in the nooks and crannies, and that's true. You can, up to a point, really. And seriously, but can we really? Okay, let's just put it in perspective. Do we really expect to earn a six-figure income level business with nooks and crannies? I mean, let's be real, right? So while you can definitely work it in the nooks and crannies, there has to be a point to where you've either going to have a super rigid system and schedule, or like plan a daily method of operation that you are following for that nook and cranny, right? Like it's that nook and cranny, you're like boom, 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 boom. Like some of you can work like that. Others, like me, I need a designated time and space where I work, right? It's hard for me to work in the nooks and crannies right now because of sports, because of homeschooling. I've got people everywhere. Our house is like a revolving door of teenagers, literally. And so, so I have to actually have time carved out. So, and whatever that takes. So if here's the thing, and I've had to say no to some things, right? You have to evaluate where you are spending your time. And it looks different. And this is something that you're going to have to do, because if you're on this call, chances are you want to go all the way. Chances are you want to be a diamond. And so this is something that you're going to have to continually assess and get used to this. So I want you to start thinking about it now. Evaluate where you're putting your time. Are you scrolling social media? Are you constantly answering questions in your chats? Are you constantly posting in your chats or in the team page? Like, what are you doing with your time? Are you playing games on your phone? Like, y'all, confession, I was that person that at bedtime, I would sit and play Heyday. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. And so it was my way of like vegging out, which is fine. I understand people need some downtime or whatever. But instead of, I don't know, reading maybe 3 pages of a book, or doing some IPA, or possibly even planning some content for the next few days, I was playing a stupid game. And so I took the thing off my phone. I'm so embarrassed that I even did that. I'm a 44-year-old woman playing Heyday. But I'm saying, like, it was a time waster at the end of the day, because my goal in life is not to be a Heyday champion, right? My goal in life is to help women and to empower others and to like bless and advance the kingdom of God. Like that's my goal, like raise my family. And so what I was doing was not in any way, shape, or form advancing my goal. So you've got to evaluate where you are spending your time. And here is the thing. Also, you've got to, before I say that, before I say here's the thing, you've got to think about what is it that fills your cup. Because for me, it was reading out loud to my kids. I know, but that was my thing. That just gives me so much joy. And so, but what I found was I was doing other dumb stuff instead of reading out loud to my kids, or I was working, but I was really scrolling on Facebook. I was working because I didn't have consistent things in place. And so what happens is, because I wasn't doing some of the things that really truly filled my cup, I started to resent Plexus, and it was Plexus's fault. Okay, see the lie in that though? It wasn't Plexus's fault. It was mine. It was completely mine. And the truth be told, I was wasting my time. And if I wasn't with Plexus, I was still like before Plexus, I was still wasting my time. I was still doing dumb stuff that I shouldn't have been doing, right? That wasn't really productive at the end of the day. But it's easy. Like we can say, oh, well, it's Plexus's fault because we have something that we can, blame it on, in other words. Do any of you other girls want to? I know Allison and Ashley, but like, do y'all want to speak to that right there? Any of
Yeah,
that?
I mean yeah, that's true. And something I was thinking about right before our call is I was thinking about how, and I looked up some quick numbers, and if you were to start up like a micro business in your home that's like an Etsy business, it would cost about $2,000 to $5,000 to invest in it. And if you were to start like a larger business, like a box, like a small storefront, you would need about $30,000 to $40,000 to invest in it the first year, with things like inventory and rent and equipment and fees and office space and stuff like that. But when it comes to a network marketing business, and you're like in the I'm a business owner mode now at the rank that you're at, the thing that you have to invest is your time. Like your time is what you have to invest. And that is precious and it is valuable. I mean, we're all here. We're mamas, we are grandparents, we're ministry wives. Our time is so valuable. And sometimes it feels like there's not enough of it. And that's why we have to view it as like gold. We have to view it as a currency in our lives and invest it where we are going to get the most return and the most yield. And that's why I think it's really important at this stage to start thinking about your time and asking for help when you need help, because you're bringing in, you've got a comment in your paycheck now. Okay. It's making a difference. It's making a big difference. So you have permission to ask for help. Ask your spouse, hey, I feel like this is, you agree that this is what is going to help our family. Make sure you and your spouse are on the same page. Let him and like get his buy-in with it, but then ask for help. Maybe fixing dinner one night a week or splitting up different things a different way, like whatever that looks like for your family. And I don't have a method. We were talking about this earlier. I was like, I don't really have a method to offer because we're all so different and we all work so differently with how we organize our time and organize our days. But I think the important thing is that you're intentional about how you do it and how you set it up. There are a bazillion different methods, YouTube videos, ideas, Pinterest ideas, whatever, something that fits your personality. But like, just know that it's really, really important to be intentional. And there are things that I still do in the nooks and crannies, but there are things that I cannot do in the nooks and crannies. I have to know that this is when I'm going to do this. That's when I'm going to show up. So.
That's so good. Ashley, do you want to speak? Do you have anything to say on that, the time part?
I thought that was also very good. I've actually had 2 babies, I believe, since I was senior Ruby. So I agree with you very much, Allison, that we have to be very picky about how we use our time. But I think I have gradually grown into that. And I think it's also a matter of finding out when your best time of the day is. Like, do I work best in the morning? That's me. I think best in the morning, but then I also had to, looking at your own life, like when is this going to work the best to fit into my life? Because it really, truly cannot be done in 15 minutes anymore when you're at this level. I mean, yes, there are going to be days. Okay, you can ask any Jewel on here. There are days whenever 15 minutes might be all you really get, but you're going to have to carve out time later in the week. And so I think just recognizing what works best for you and really pouring your heart into it. And I have a phrase I say to my team sometimes, or to my kids even. I'm like, work like your hair's on fire, because your hair is on fire during that time. Like, you are working, you are focused. And something I learned from Allison, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I asked her, like, how do you plan your content and things like that? And she said, I do it when my brain is fresh and I sit down, I write everything out. That way I don't have to think about it, because we are busy mamas. I think a lot of times people from the outside who look into your life, they go, well, she just has that much time. Um, she just has more time than me. That's why she's at this level. Nothing could be further than from the truth about any woman who's speaking on this call right now, because I know them very well, and we are all some of the busiest people that I know. And so what we found, though, is that we've learned how to make the 24 hours that God's given us to work the business that God has given us. And so while still loving our children well and loving our husbands and participating in all the things that we do, but just carving out a time in the week. I remember Allison saying she did hers on like Sunday afternoon. She would sit down and she would say, on Monday, I'm going to post about this. Tuesday, and she may have changed her methods between now and then, but that time and now, but still just recognizing a time when you're fresh, because at the end of a homeschool day, I am so fried. There is nothing left inside of me, and I have to go drink some coffee, or not coffee, but usually I do tea in the afternoon, and I just do something for myself, get myself back motivated to take a walk, and then I'm ready to work. But I still don't really have that plan in my mind. So I'm taking what I've done earlier in the week to actually work during that time. And that's what works for me. I know me and Allison, we sort of think in a planner mind a little bit. So if you're that way, that might really help you.
That's really good. Well, and it's one thing I was going to touch on is the fact of, at Gold School, you're going to learn about your income producing activity or your daily method of operation. And that's what should you be doing every single day. They really talk about that at Gold School. And that's something that hopefully by Senior Gold Ruby level, you definitely have already implemented, and you kind of know, like, okay, I'm reaching out to people every day. I'm posting on my social media feed. I am, following up. I'm adding new friends to my network. Like, those are things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And then because that's really important. So when you do have your time block or whatever, you know what you're doing. Okay. Do we have questions at this point? Because some of you may have a question. We've kind of covered a lot really quickly. And honestly, I'm sitting here thinking, like, this is so much the groundwork for your whole entire business at this point. I mean, it's really a lot of this. It's kind of like it's digging down into layers, but it's the same kind of, like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. It's like the same thing. It's like you're always going to be talking about time. It's just like, but the ranks make you dig a little bit deeper into that subject. Does that make sense? Is that clear? Okay. Anyway. Okay. If not, nobody has anything. So Allison has some things that she thought were super helpful for the Senior Gold to Senior Ruby segment of our journeys. So Allison, take it away. I'm gonna go grab my charger.
Yes. So I think one of the most important things that we can do that first I want to talk about the thing, and then I want to talk about the mindset behind the thing. Okay. Is to learn how to assess where our businesses are, to be really personally self-aware and very business self-aware. And first, I think it's really important that we assess not just our personal achievement and the numbers and where we are, but like your personal activity level. If you're doing your activity and you are doing it well, then you are going to see your numbers go up. If you are consistent in your activity and nothing is happening, you do need to reassess your activity. I'm talking about your daily income producing activities. But it's really important to not gauge your success, like being accountable to metrics as a report and not like a source of your identity. Okay. It's really, really easy when your points start going up and you're really kind of, you're pushing towards some bigger goals. Like you're already paying for the car, you're already paying for the groceries. A lot of those first things that you really wanted to pay off and be able to contribute in your family, you've done those, and you're moving on, and you're setting even bigger goals, and you're catching the vision to see that you could be Jewel, like you can be Jewel. But it's easy to get obsessed with the numbers and like watching them climb and watching them sit still or watching them go down. and wrapping your identity up in that. And I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to look at them as something that just can give you an idea of what's going in your business. And so a couple of those are looking at the 4 pillars of network marketing. So there are 4 pillars, and you can jot these down. This is how your business grows. It is by recruiting new people, bringing new people into your business. Retention, that means keeping the people that you bring into your business. It means duplication, which is helping other people bring people into the business. You're developing silvers, me plus 3, them plus 3, like Plexus teaches us to do. And then developing leaders. And I see that as developing golds and above. So you've got duplication, which is silvers, and leadership development, which is like your gold and above. So recruiting, you want to look and say over a quarter, over the first 6 months of the year, over the last year, look and ask yourself, am I averaging about 3 new ads per month? And if you are not, then it's time to assess a mindset, or it's time to assess a skill set that you need to refresh or relearn. And I have been here many times in my Plexus journey over the last 8 years, just constantly going back and looking at those numbers and saying, okay, what am I doing? What's happening? And is my activity matching my goal? And then the second is retention. So retention is people coming back and ordering. The 90-day mark of people sticking in this business, you want to see, Jennifer, what is that number off the top of your head? Like, it totally left me. The retention rate is 80%, right? Is that right? I think it's 20%. Yeah, 80%. You want to see about 80% of the people who are coming into your business sticking around. And so sometimes I have been known to, I'll look at my own team, I'll look at my team overall, and then I'll look at individual people who are working under me and see if, do I have an 80% retention rate? That means people still ordering after 90 days. Does my whole team have an 80% retention rate? And if I see somebody struggling, one of the first things I do is look and see what their retention rate is. And if that's lower than 80%, then there is something, a new skill to learn in the way of customer care, even the way that the opportunity is being presented, the way that the products are being shared and presented. These are metrics just for you to kind of like, it's like taking the pulse of your business and seeing how things are going and like how the life is flowing. Okay, that's the third one, duplication. You want to see about 10% of the people who are coming in becoming silvers. So that means if you have 10 new people join your team overall in a month, you want to see at least 1 new silver in that. Ideally, your business growth will be even more foundationally secure if you're doing about 20%. But the minimum would be 10%. So look at your overall ads and see, over the month, over the quarter, over 6 months, over a year, are you seeing your silver development rate about 10 to 15%? And then the last one, I think it's Genevieve told us 1 in 10 people will go silver, and is it 1 in 10 of those, or is it 1 in 20? I'm telling you, the details left. I used my whole brain today. I'm like, where Ashley was after homeschool. I'm like, hey, where's my tea?
I know. I don't remember. I'm gonna go see if I can.
We'll get back to you with that. But it is. There's another metric there, like people who are coming in and they're going silver. What are we doing with them after silver? Are we letting them know that there's more opportunity where that came from, and then showing them the way? Because you've gotten to gold, so you know how to get to gold, and you can show other people how to get there too. So just don't become over obsessed with the numbers. Don't wrap your identity up in the numbers, but use the numbers as a report. Because you know what, like we don't want to fall, like when the numbers drop, we don't want to fall into like a failure mindset. And we also don't want to just rely on the numbers to reveal the health of our business. Like activity really reveals the health of the business, not necessarily the metrics, because those are going to change and fluctuate and go different ways, depending on seasons of the year, seasons of the business, seasons of Plexus. Just stay steady with the activity and use the numbers that you're seeing as a way to encourage you in growth. I told someone on a coaching call today, though, like when we look at things, we don't feel shame. When we look at our numbers, we don't feel shame or over elation, the fact that we are something. We just look at them and learn. Okay.
All that was so good. All right, Ashley's got kicked off, but she's come back on. I am still looking for those numbers. I remember when I shared it with you guys, but I shared it in a voice message. So I get to go find my voice message that I shared. Okay. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to really quick was talk about your identifying your runners on your team. Like, who are the people on your team? Because it's really important that your time is valuable, your time is limited, and you want to be spending your time with the people who actually want to work this business, who are actually, like, obviously you're giving good customer care always, right? We're always doing that, always checking in on our VIP customers, but that really doesn't take that much time to check in. But for your business part, who are the people that are running with you? You're going to find people with all sorts of, reasons why they're not doing it. And that's the thing, is it's okay, right? We have to find the people and work with the people, though, that actually want to work and want to move forward. And they may come up against a wall or a skill set that they don't currently possess, but they're willing to work with, like, through it and learn and grow. Those are the people that you want to be spending time with on your team and pouring into and investing in. So I think it's the 80-20 rule. So about 80% of your time needs to be spent, well, of the time that you work your team part, right, needs to be spent with the top 20% of people on your team. All right. So it's really important for you to have that permission, maybe, to not necessarily feel like you have to pull everybody along. Say Susie gets to silver and she just is not really engaging on getting to senior silver, and you're just trying, oh, come on, just get just more, and she's just coming up with all these excuses. Like, it's okay for you to recognize, okay, Susie's not there yet, I'm trying to cast vision, and she doesn't want it, and that's okay. So that's something that you're going to absolutely run into and encounter for sure. Okay. Senior Ruby. All right, Senior Ruby. Okay, so we talked about Ruby level real quick, and I'm going to turn over to Ashley. So Ruby, your 55% of your time is on your business, personal business, 25% yourself, 20% your team. At the Senior Ruby level, 50% of your time is on your personal business, 25 self and 25 team. So it just drops like 5%. But really, you were always focusing on your own personal stuff, like your own personal business. Okay, Raquel says, how often do you go back and cast vision if they don't get it the first time? Anybody want to answer that? Ashley's laughing.
As long as it takes. Because I think that your vision will change too as you grow in your business. And so I feel like you may even look at it differently farther on. And so, in something that you say or some way that you grow, you might be able to say it differently, and their life's going to be in a different place too. So as long as it takes is my answer.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I think it's important to recognize, like, you don't want to. So what I've seen people do, and what I've been guilty of myself, is there are people that will run with you for a while, and then for whatever reason they stop, and then that can stall you out yourself. You can let the fact that your running buddy is not running anymore, and you can let that slow you down, hold you back, hinder you. And so while you are still wanting to cast vision for them or whatever, it's very important that you yourself realize that you're not stalling. You have places that you're going. Like, this may be a stepping stone, stumbling block for you for the moment, because it is. This is a relationship business, and we do develop strong relationships with the people that you work closely with. You just do. And and so there is an emotional, right? I mean, I've had like emotional sadness, over people that are no longer with us and no longer running, and doing the things. It's sad. I'm like, oh, they're my friend. But it's important for you to keep the long-term vision, your long-term goal in mind. So, and just to keep pressing forward. And then hopefully, like Ashley said, you're still revisiting occasionally. And you're still, casting that vision, but you're not letting that hold you back. Jennifer says her best friend has been taking the products for 5 years and she finally shared this past weekend. Oh my God, Jennifer, that's so amazing. 5 years. And that's creepy. 5 years in and she's just now sharing. That's amazing.
Hold on 1 second. You want us to get you anything to eat?
Oh my gosh, no.
You're doing good.
Because I'm hiding all the laundry in the background. Okay, so Ashley, let's let you take over and share with us all the things that are on your heart.
I didn't hear what you said there at the end. What did you say? It cut out.
Oh, just share what's on your heart.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to share what Amanda Nix and I shared. We have little planning session for this today, and so I just am bringing our tips to the table. But I personally want to say that many of y'all in here know me, but I also want you to know that the reason why I said that about as many times as it takes is because some of us get vision at different times. It didn't matter how many times that somebody cast vision for me. I personally never really saw it, probably until I don't know, 2 years ago, because it's just been a hard thing for me. And that's why I said as long as it takes. So my journey to like Senior Ruby was pretty fast, but I stalled there for a long time. And so, but I feel like I have really learned a whole lot the whole time I've been in Plexus, but it was pretty rocky. So I don't want y'all to think that like the us talking on here is like, oh, we just had it figured out. It's not what it was at all. You're talking to women who've been doing this for 7, 8, 9 years, so we've learned a lot along the way. So I just want you to know that if you are in those ruts or you're in those places where you're like, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to overcome where I am? Know that we're all still facing those issues and we're all still learning along the way. And give yourself grace to learn those things right now, and don't beat yourself up if you still have some growing to do. So I wanted to say that about this becoming a real business, because I knew that this was a real business, and I was thinking back in my mind to whenever I was like Ruby, Senior Ruby. I knew this was a real business whenever I got my little 1099 in the mail, and I made more than I did when I was teaching school. And I was like, whoa, well, hold up. That is amazing. I went to school for 4 years to make that income, and I just made that in just a couple of years with my babies at home. And so I knew that this was really real, and it was something that the Lord had brought into my life, and a huge answer to my prayer. And then I also knew that it was real whenever we lived in a mobile home, and we wanted to wait until we paid that off till we started building our house. I knew it was real when I was able to pay off like a tremendous amount of that trailer in order to start building my house. And I was like, okay, there's something here. And so whenever you, like Allison says, start getting a comma in your paycheck, you're like, okay, we got to really start working on this and really concentrating on it. So around that time, though, I feel like you have to grow as a leader. Yes, you are a leader when you have anybody on your team, but when you have hundreds of people on your team, you have to grow. Because the thing about it is, if you've not ever read that John Maxwell book about the levels of leadership, I'm going to kind of use my hand here as a visual. I had to switch over to my phone, but we actually heard John Maxwell speak at one of our leaders retreats a couple of years ago, and I'll never forget him holding his little hand up like this, and he's saying, the people on your team cannot grow any higher than where you are. And, it was so convicting to me, because I was really putting a whole lot of limits on my own self, being out of my own fears. And I thought, okay, I've got to grow in order for these people to grow under me, because I didn't want to hold other people back. And so anyway, you need to think about that whenever you are at this level, because there's people under you who might even need this business more than you do. And there's people under you who they need hope. They need to have vision again in their own life because many people don't even have that after COVID. Like it's all gone. Most people's hope is just vanished. And people need that. They need friendship and community, and you have that in your hands. And so if you're limiting, then you're not giving that to them. So think it like along with leadership, something we were all talking about today was just the fact that you are building other people up. And Jennifer was sharing with that about taking your mind off of your own self. Like you really truly have to do that. You can no longer concentrate on just you and yourself. This has got to be about other people. Who cares the fears that you're facing? Yeah, work through them, but at the same time, you got people under you. It's time to grow them. And so, Ruby can be like about four, like just think about it like this. Here's a simple way to think about it. About 4 goals underneath you. Like you've already made it to gold. Like you can help 4 people get to gold. You can do that. And then as you are growing those people underneath you, like Jennifer said, there's going to be some people who either they step out for a season or they step out permanently. You need to be reaching down into your other levels and getting to know and building these relationships with people who are just outside of your level ones. You don't just communicate with your level ones. You want to be sure that you're reaching down into those further levels, level 2s, 3s, even 4s, acknowledging them, seeing when they rank up, commenting on their posts, friending them on Facebook, making sure that you are seen and known as a leader to them, but also contributing to them, because if their leader ever steps out, then you need to be the one to step into that place. And that has happened more than one time for me, and it's happened for other people on this team. And if they didn't have those relationships there, then they would have lost that whole leg. So it's very, very important to keep those relationships and keep doing that. And I believe that that's all that I really have. I just appreciate y'all being on this call. It's I feel like it's more than just growing a business. I feel like this level is where I really started to change. And so I really encourage y'all just to lean into it and just to allow the Lord to grow these things inside of you, because they're going to help you in every area of your life.
So good. Okay. Allison, I went back and found that voice message that was back when I was driving to Gold Retreat back in December. So, okay, this is from Genevieve. This is from corporate. Genevieve is, and I don't even know what her fancy title is now, but she's amazing. You get to meet her at Gold School if you haven't seen her on the Plexus page before. But she says, okay, so if you bring 10 people into your organization, okay, you got 10 people, 2 out of every 10 of those people need to go silver. And then 1 out of every 5 silvers goes gold. So 2 out of 10 go silver, 1 out of every 5 silvers hits gold. And her question to, this was on a Jewel training call that she did. And her question to us was, how would you work your business differently if like knowing that is your goal? 2 out of every 10 go silver, 1 out of every 5 silvers should advance to gold. Like that's kind of what you're looking for in your organization. So there's something to think about for you. Any last words from Allison or Julie or anybody have any questions, you can pop in the chat. But my last thought while Ashley was talking is influence. Okay. So if a lot of us, or I'm just going to speak for me, not a person of like high influence at all. I had 300 Facebook friends. I wasn't even on social media really when I joined Plexus. I had 6 kids, 9 to 7 months. I went to church and I went to the grocery store, and that was about it. I wasn't in moms groups. We weren't in homeschool co-ops, like none of that. We weren't in sports, none of that. So one of the things, one of the things that I think we always have to be thinking about, but if you're struggling in your business, if you feel like you're doing all the right things, like reevaluate your level of influence. Some people have to raise their level of influence. And so don't forget that that is an element of this process sometimes for some of us. And there's not necessarily, I don't feel like there's like a magic tweak for that, or, a thing, but you can develop that. There's books about becoming a person of influence. There's, how to be more influential. There's all kinds of things like that. So dive into that if that's where you feel like maybe you're lacking. I guess my point is consider that element if you feel like you're kind of stuck, right? Consider that you could be needing to raise your influence in your in your network and in your circles. So learn how to do that, because again, it's a skill, right? It's something that you can learn and apply. And here's the thing, guys, we are never going to be perfect at all the things, but what we want to do, I think I told somebody this week, like, you see people say, oh, you're a diamond ambassador, you're totally coming, like, that's so great, so much success. I'm like, no, I am sick. Like, you see the success, but it's really a pile of failures. Like, what you have to do is get up, dust your knees off, and say, I'm doing it again. I'm trying it again. We're going to, go at it in a different way. Like, I know this is where I'm supposed to be. I know I'm here for a reason, and we're just going to figure this thing out. Right. And so you have to be a person of grit at the end of the day. You have to be a person of grit. And I guess I'm probably getting more into the senior Ruby to Emerald rank stuff, but it's true, I think, for all ranks. Like, you need to recognize that you're going to have to, this is not some get rich quick, fly by night. It's fun and it's amazing. I don't want to scare anybody either. I don't want to scare anybody, because this is amazing. But I just want you to understand, like, we on this call are talking about 6 and 7 figure incomes, you guys. Like, that doesn't come just, oh, this is just fun, like, I wish it did, but it doesn't, right? We have to dig in. We have to fail forward. John Maxwell has a book literally called Failing Forward. And we have to do the hard things, but it is so worth it, because not only do you see so much change in yourself and your relationships, but because you show up differently in your life, that impacts so many people, and it has a generational impact. Because if you show up as a stronger mama, as a, closer to Jesus mama, like, how much more is that going to impact your family for the better, right? And so that's one of my biggest loves of Plexus, is how that it's really digging inward and doing the hard work on yourself. It just overflows into all the areas of your life, and then all areas of your life just become sweeter and greater. And so anyway, okay, that's enough. Anybody have any final thoughts, any final words? I hope this has been helpful. Our very last call, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, because I feel like you can dig into this and go all the way to diamond. You just have to keep kind of just digging a little deeper into every one of these elements. But okay, well, thank you guys for being on, and we are so thankful for you, and we'll see you next time. I'll have the recording up soon. All right, bye guys.